Part 1. Defining Truth. Chapter 1. Truth. In dealing with truth, we are immortal. Henry David Thoreau. When speaking of truth, it is important to clarify what we mean by the word truth. It is often used to describe something temporary and transitory, such as being asked to tell the truth when remembering details on a witness stand or recording events in history. While such facts may or may not be true, this kind of truth is of a lesser, more specific and temporal type. In this book, when I refer to truth, I will be speaking of the deep, universal, everlasting kind, absolute truth, or eternal fact, to borrow a term from C.S. Lewis. This kind of fact goes beyond the dates and names in a history book. It is the very foundation of all the patterns and cycles that play out throughout history. One possible definition of absolute truth is things as they are and as they were and as they are to come. Truth is one of the most powerful forces in our universe. Whether we like it or not, it plays an indispensable role in our lives. As will be shown, the degree to which we learn truth and align our characters and lives with it will determine the level of peace, happiness, and success we experience. Our first task, then, is to discuss the nature of truth. It possesses three fundamental characteristics. 1. Truth is eternal. It has always existed and will continue to exist forever. It was not created or made, neither indeed can be. 2. Truth is universal. It is the same for everybody. It never changes. It does not take one shape for one person, then another for someone else. It is reliable and constant. 3. Truth is independent. It is real. It is not merely an abstract idea. It is not subject to the whims or designs of mankind, but exists for its own sake. In short, absolute truth has always existed and is the same for everyone. Or to be more precise, it is the same throughout time and space, irrespective of anyone. A beautifully simple example of the eternal, universal, independent nature of truth can be observed in mathematics. 1 + 1 has always equaled 2. There has never been an age in the life of the universe when that equation has equaled anything else, and it will remain the same forever. There has never been, nor ever will be, a living soul for whom, barring human error, the sum of 1 + 1 will be anything other than 2. And before humankind developed a counting system, or even before any thinking beings existed, the fundamental truth that 1 and 1 comes to 2 has remained unalterably true. It would remain so even if every human on earth believed the answer to be 3. Just like mathematics, which is only one of the many branches of absolute truth, every one of its branches shares these three fundamental traits: eternality, universality, and independence. The tree of truth. Now, there are three additional characteristics of truth I wish to highlight. To aid in doing so, I'll be drawing from the following visual imagery. Picture truth as an enormous ancient tree with one great trunk supporting many long, sturdy branches. From each of these branches protrude countless finger-like twigs, each bearing innumerable leaves and fruit. The purpose of this metaphor is to illustrate these three additional attributes of absolute truth. 1. All truth is connected, similar to how each leaf on a tree is connected to every other leaf through a network of branches. 2. Much of truth is hidden from us. What is most easily visible are the leaves and fruit, while the deeper underlying laws and truths, the network of branches, are largely obscured from our view. 3. Truth has layers, laws built upon deeper, broader truth, which are the underlying cause of all things occurring around us. At the very foundation, all truth is rooted in the same trunk. Let's discuss each of these in greater depth. All truth is connected. Perhaps you've noticed how learning about one subject can expand your understanding of a seemingly unrelated one. Maybe one day in school, your math teacher said something that aligned with a comment made in your history class the week before. This is due to the connected nature of truth. All truths are linked together and often overlap, much like the way all the leaves of a tree are connected through an intricate network of twigs and branches. At first, it may not seem obvious how two seemingly unrelated topics, such as, say, chemistry and tennis, could be connected. But after a little research, you might learn how the chemical makeup of the materials used to make and string a tennis racket impacts the spin and trajectory of the ball when struck, as well as the amount of shock felt by the player. Or how on a hot day, the heat of the sun interacts with the ball and the court surface to influence how high the ball bounces. Or how differing quantities of oxygen in the atmosphere affect players' performance at various altitudes. Such connections can be discovered between virtually any two subjects, no matter how remote or obscure. As D. Todd Christofferson once pointed out, all truth may be circumscribed into one great whole. Much of truth is hidden. The Apostle Paul said that in this world we see through a glass darkly. Plato equated our experience in life to observing shadows being cast onto a cave wall. An ancient Hindu parable compared seeking truth to a group of blind men encountering an elephant for the first time, each one happening to feel a different part of the elephant's body. One touches its tusk, another its tail, another its ear, and so on, and therefore all arrive at vastly different conclusions as to what an elephant is. These wise old words attest to the fact that much of truth is hidden from our view. Similar to how most of a tree's branches are obscured by its countless leaves, we also are not able to clearly see the complex network linking truths together. For the most part, all we can detect with our senses are specific, seemingly random, unrelated objects and occurrences around us. We see an apple fall from a tree. We feel our feet planted firmly on the ground. We gaze at the stars blazing in the night sky. What we don't see or feel are the reasons or laws behind these observances. It takes generations of thinkers building upon one another's work to study these phenomena and reason out the common link between them, in this case the law of gravity, which causes all bodies in space to draw toward each other. When as a young boy Albert Einstein was first shown a compass and observed the determined way in which the compass needle behaved, he was fascinated. This observance caused him to conclude that something deeply hidden had to be behind things. This something is the collection of real, immutable laws which, though unseen, cause the world around us to behave in consistent, predictable ways. We can observe and study these behaviors, like the falling of an apple or the movement of a compass needle, and attempt to discern the laws which lie behind them. Truth has layers. The surface layer entails, as mentioned, the bounty of occurrences and objects that surround us every day, which we can identify and observe with our senses. Behind this observable superficial layer lie the hidden depths of truth. These depths cannot be directly observed but must be discerned and reasoned out based on our observations of the surface layer. That's how we humans interact with truth, working from the outside in, diving deeper and deeper, forming conclusions and theories of what lies beneath the surface. It's a work in progress, previous conclusions often being revised or debunked by the discoveries of later explorers. For example, our estimate of the Milky Way galaxy's size has changed with new observations, and the generally accepted science regarding a healthy diet largely contradicts the advice of generations past. Those hidden layers of truth exist in varying levels of depth. As a person seeks learning, it often feels like peeling back layer after layer, discovering ever more profound truths. And something I've found remarkable is that as one dives deeper, progressing from the superficial to the profound, from the specific to the more general, from the fleeting to the constant, the field grows thinner. The number of deeper truths becomes fewer and fewer. A simple illustration of this can be seen in the way we use taxonomy to categorize all living things. For instance, there are around 1,000 different species of bats on Earth, each grouped into over 180 different genera based on shared characteristics. For example, the genus Micronycteris consists of 10 species, all of which share the trait of being little in size with big ears. These are grouped further into 18 different families using broader criteria. For example, the little big-eared bats are grouped with 48 other genera into the family Phylostomidae, characterized primarily by the shape of their noses and by being native to North and South America. All of these families belong to the order Chiroptera, meaning hand wing, describing the human-like structure of all bats' wings. Chiroptera is one of 29 orders belonging to the class Mammalia, which are characterized primarily by their fur and their ability to produce milk. That may have been much more than you ever hoped to learn about bats, but I hope the point is clearer regarding the consolidation of lesser truths under the umbrella of greater, deeper truths. This same pattern appears in every sector of reality. Throughout nature and human experience, the superficial many are encompassed by the profound few. This pattern, followed to its logical end, leads me to believe that at the root of all truth lies one single central source, the solid trunk of our tree of truth, not unlike what Aristotle called the first principle, or unmoved mover. E.F. Schumacher wrote, "All subjects, no matter how specialized, are connected with a center. They are like rays emanating from a sun." I feel there's good reason to believe that this central sun, or unmoved mover, is God. But I don't believe one must be religious in order to recognize the layered, tree-like nature of truth and benefit thereby. As I stated before, we typically interact with truth from the outside in, starting at the visible, superficial layer and working inward. But now, let's use this model of the tree of truth to imagine what it might look like from the inside out. Like the strong, sturdy branches of a tree, great, profound truths grow out of a single eternal source. From those deep, broad truths grow multiple lesser, more specific truths, like the tree's smaller branches. We might call these laws. And those laws manifest themselves in the physical world in the countless specific behaviors of the elements, objects, and creatures that surround us every day. These are the leaves and fruit on the outside of the tree, and for simplicity's sake we might call these evidences, as each one serves as evidence of that something deeply hidden behind things. Other possible terms could be behaviors, occurrences, practices, signs, witnesses, or applications. This metaphor of the tree of truth is meant to provide a clearer sense of the connected, hidden, and layered nature of truth. But, like all metaphors, it breaks down at some point and ceases to be useful. It is not intended as a rigid, literal portrayal of the nature of truth. All the branches stemming from absolute truth, for example, are not distinctly separated from one another like the branches of physical trees. Such profound truths often overlap and intertwine. And though the image I've painted suggests 4 distinct levels of depth, absolute truth, profound truths, laws, and evidences, I don't believe the framework is so rigid. My purpose is merely to illustrate that all of reality is built upon deeper, broader truth, and that all truths can claim the same trunk as their original, most fundamental source. Even in cases where we can't see the connection from leaf to trunk, we can be assured that the leaf is growing from a living branch of the living tree because it is vibrant and green. Summary. Truth is 1. Eternal. It has existed and will exist forever. 2. Universal. It does not change over time or circumstance. 3. Independent. We cannot influence it, we can only discover it. 4. Connected. All facets of truth are related and stem from a single original source. 5. Largely hidden. Much of truth hides behind the physical world, the leaves and fruit. And 6. Layered. Evidences are the leaves and fruit, while the branches are laws and profound truths. Questions. What hidden truths can I perceive that exist behind the evidences I see and sense around me? For example, what truths can I discover behind living things in nature, like birds and plants, or in the rushing of a river, or even in the man-made buildings in my town?